Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4. I am Gav, that's Keith, that's Emmet. Three of us on tonight, and tonight we're going to go a little bit different. We're going to do some of your favourite World Cup moments. That can go as far back as you like. It can be great goals, great games, mental stuff that's happened, great songs you remember around the time. I'm throwing it in there for Keith, especially. And look, we're going to read out as many comments as we can tonight because our memories will be quite good. Other people's memories could be better, and you can help us along the way, and we'll react to them as we go. Keith, how are you?
I'm great, Gav. Yourself? World Cup's kicked off.
Yeah,
Everyone's excited about it.
yeah.
Maybe not.
3 minutes in, everyone's shouting corruption.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Why not? Why not?
yeah.
It's the way it's going to be the theme of the whole thing, isn't it? In fairness.
I didn't see it earlier. I'm being honest. I was in the house, picked up my phone, and I was like, "Oh, it's begun already!" And I was like, What's going on?" And I knocked on the telly and looked at it and went, "Oh yeah, that looks dodgy." But then it turns out he was offside, so the corruption thing was thrown out the windows fairly quickly. Emma, did you watch the game earlier?
I did. I watched it with Luke and Kev live on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, no, that was the shout of the day was corruption as well, and it took them about 15 minutes to come up with an animation that made your man offside.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm still going with the corruption.
Okay. Dylan the Rook calls us the tick threesome. Jesus, he's out of the traps quick now, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Tick,
look,
double C.
yeah.
It's not tick as in idiots, although it does probably tie in there as well.
Well, what does tick with two C's mean?
Chunky.
All right. Okay. Cool. I don't know if that's any better than with a K at the end, but fair enough.
Well, you know,
Yes.
both ways, I think we're on the wrong end of it, but
Yeah. We
I was only going to say you can only see our shoulder from our
Yeah,
shoulders down, but we've all met
yeah.
Dylan.
yeah.
So he knows.
Yeah, he knows. But anyway, he's gone straight for the jugular there, in fairness to him, and we haven't come out of it well. But look, our favourite World Cup moments, it can be anything you like. It can, like, genuinely anything that made you laugh, cry, amazed and stuff like that. I think it was Rory on Twitter said it was earlier, has there ever been a better opening game than Cameroon against Argentina in 1990? Now,
possibly never been a better game than Argentina against Cameroon.
what scored it then? Was it 1-0?
1-0. 1-0 to Cameroon, yeah.
Yeah. And wasn't that the one where Kinizia breaks out from his box near the end and they're all just trying to mutilate
I'd
him?
say he regretted it. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say he regretted it.
But Cameroon
Benjamin Massing absolutely upends him.
And what did
the
he get, a
second
yellow?
attempt. No, they got 2 reds. Cameroon got 2 reds in the game.
Did he not get a yellow for that tackle though?
No, he got sent off.
He got sent off, did he? Because if I remember right,
Last minute, I think it was.
yeah,
Tunisia's
Tunisia
gone
breaks
through.
out and like 3 of them try to do him and eventually gets milked, and then this fella's picking up his own boot and showing it to the referee as if like, I lost my boot there, sorry about that.
Yeah,
But
fair
absolutely,
cop ref.
but just on Cameroon in that tournament, they were mental, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. It was, and I suppose, look, my thing with the World Cup is I remember hearing about '86 about Maradona, but I didn't watch it. I was only 5. If it would have been on in the house, but I don't have any recollection of it. The first international tournament I remember was Euro '88. Ireland were there, and there was a buzz about that. So Italia '90 was the first one that I was really invested in, and this is the opening game. And you're talking about Cameroon. My dad was saying, Cameroon 1982, they were in the World Cup. Was it Thomas Nkono? Thomas Nkono was the keeper, and he was there, and they're a bit mad. Roger Milla was in the World Cup in '82 as well, and these are a bit mad. So you look forward to seeing these types of teams.
And then the 38-year-old Roger Milla as well.
Yeah, 38-year-old Roger Milla.
I thought he was 42, no?
He was 42 in 94.
94, he was 42, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we still haven't seen his birth cert though.
Yeah, I know. I seen a picture of him when he was in '82, and he looked about 38 in that one. Yeah. So, it's a dodgy one. But it was such, and I vividly remember, this being Italian '90 was a big deal. When you're around their age and you're looking at your first sort of real, heavily invested in the World Cup, and this is the game. It was fucking cynical. It was outrageous. This one. I can't remember. One of Kana Bayek, I think, scored for Cameroon. Oman Bayek's brother, if you remember. I used to love that Cameroon team. Cyril Makaneki and Roger Milla and Thomas Nkono and Joseph Nsongo. All these boys, they were great bunch of lads. But couple of red cards. The kick on Kanija is just one of the greatest World Cup moments of all time.
If anyone hasn't seen it, go back and have a look at Claudio Caniggia. If you type in Claudio Caniggia Cameroon, you'll see it. He breaks out from his own box in the 90th minute. Cameroon are 1-0 up, and honestly, he's slaloming over like people just trying to kill him, and eventually they get him. And when he gets him, he absolutely gets him. But Emmett, like, just sticking on Cameroon, because you might as well talk about them a little bit from that tournament. Like, they get beaten by England, I think, was it the last 16? Did he get them in the last 16?
Quarters.
My memory's not as good as Keith's.
Might have been the quarters, but they give England a real fucking game. And of course, Roger Milla in that tournament, doesn't he do the keeper? What's the keeper's name?
René
Higuita. Doesn't he score against them? René Higuita's running out of the box and everything. But Emma, like, they were just mental. It was just, and it was. I vaguely remember 86 and 90. I think is still the best World Cup I've ever watched as an Ireland fan. But the second bit of 90 after Ireland for me was Cameroon, because it was just, what is going on here?
Yeah, it's you love seeing a team that you don't, and there's other teams that have done it since then, like Senegal with France. You love kind of seeing, like, it's an underdog story, isn't it?
Yeah.
They come in, nobody expects them to do anything, and then they go and beat one of probably the favourites in 1990. I'm similar. 86 is probably the first one. It's probably one of the FA Cup final 86 and then World Cup 86. Just parts of it. Lineker, Maradona. I can kind of remember the shadow of the spiky thing on the pitch. I don't know if you ever watched them back. I'll never forget that. I was always wondering what that was. For a team to come in that probably nobody kind of held out any hope, and to beat one of the greatest World Cup teams ever, was unbelievable.
Just got taken aback a bit. There was somebody else on Twitter mentioned 1974 Zaire trying to defend against free kicks.
That was great.
When you have a laugh about this, people go, listen, you're being bad. But Zaire must have went through a qualifying campaign, right, to get to that World Cup under kind of like the same rules as what you get when you turn up at the World Cup. So, like, it was just pure madness, wasn't it? They were lining up for a wall for a free kick, and they were literally given, like, the free kick taker like 5 seconds to take it, and if he didn't, they were just running out and kicking the ball. Like when you see that stuff, like, and that's before my time, 74. It's only from watching footage. But when you see stuff like that, you think, this is the World Cup, and this is going on. Like, Keith, it reminds me of the fella in the Olympics. Do you remember the fella in the Olympics?
Eric the Eagle.
Eddie the Eagle. Do you remember the fella he had to swim on his own? It took him like 3 minutes to do 2 laps or 2 lengths of the thing. But Keith, that was just mad as well. Like,
yeah, it was crazy, and that's, again, I used to soak up all these, World Cup official videos, the official video of the 1970 World Cup, the 1974 World Cup, and I could never get over that Zaire one, because it was just crazy, and it's a free kick, lining up, the whistle goes, and he just storms out. And the best thing about it is when the ref blows the whistle, he's looking around going, what?
Yeah, what
are you doing? What's your beef? What's your problem here, mate? Play away, lads. Don't mind him. It was fucking hilarious.
Zaire actually came up on the watch along earlier on. We were talking about the worst goalkeepers in World Cup history.
Yeah.
And Kev he couldn't remember the lad's name, so I kind of googled it, and I think they got beaten 9-0 by Yugoslavia in 74. But their starting keeper got subbed off at 3-0 after 21 minutes. But they lost 9-0.
Jesus.
What's the point of making the substitution?
Veranda Cheese reckons that India refused to play the 1950 World Cup because they weren't allowed to play barefoot.
That's correct, yeah. No, that's 100% correct. Yeah, that's 100% correct, yeah. India, they weren't allowed to play their bare feet. No, that's 100% correct. Yeah, madness.
Let's go back a little bit, right? Because there is people throwing stuff in, and I've tried to kind of favourite them, and I'll come back to them as we try to go through time and stuff.
Are we starting on 1930 and going?
No, we're not going that far back. But I'm not. I suppose everyone looks at that Brazil team from 1970.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not even it's 12 years before I'm even born, but 1970 Brazil, if you ever get a chance to go and watch them, find them on YouTube or wherever, it was like watching a different game. Yeah. And I know we see the power and the pace today, and we see all the lovely little, But these fellas were running around, Emmet, weren't they? And like they were just running around and they were going, I'll run here a bit and then I'll just do a nice bit of skill and then we'll keep it and then we'll do this. And it was just like it was like playing FIFA on amateur level. That's what it was like, wasn't it? And then you had...
Nobody could get anywhere near them.
But when you threw in the players they had then, on top of all that, it wasn't like they were a really good unit that knew what they were everyone else. They had some, like, you know, Pele and fucking...
Vico, Socrates...
Yeah.
No, Socrates
not back then. Sorry.
No, Jarzinho, Gerson, Tostel, Clodoaldo. It was a great team. It was a brilliant team.
It was just mad. When you go back and watch it, it's just mad to watch. Like, Emma,
but they didn't score tap-ins either.
No.
If you go back and look, they just spanked them in from everywhere. Like,
was 70 the World Cup where Pele dummies the goalkeeper and hits it wide? If
Yeah,
that goes in, it's the best World Cup goal of all time.
But not only that, 70 is also the World Cup where Pele tries to chip the keeper from the halfway line when he sees him off his line.
Yeah.
And this sort of thing was never seen before. And that's why I think Pele gets so forgotten about in the annals of history of how
it's
like,
because
he is up there with Maradona.
Because he's added the ball as training goals.
Yeah. Well, it's not. You know, it's not. He had to play a load of. Exhibition matches because Santos, to keep him in Brazil, to keep him away from Real Madrid in Europe, they had to pay him fucking huge money. They couldn't afford him, so they had to go on all these tours to play him, and he scored goals. But when you look at him, there's the movie on Netflix, I think it was, the story of Pele, and you look at what this fella was doing. This fella was doing the overhead kicks before everyone else. He's doing leading, as I say, the dummy around the keeper. It doesn't go in, but it's one of the greatest things. The shot from the halfway line doesn't go in again, but you're looking at it and you're like, this fella was a fucking innovator. He was so far ahead, and he is up there with Maradona and Messi. You know, people think he's not in the, because he's the poster boy for Viagra and all. That's after having an almighty detrimental effect on his career, in my opinion. And the fact that he's
scored a hat-trick in 57 or something as well, didn't he?
58.
In 58, sorry.
Yeah, 58.
When he was 17, sorry.
Yeah.
And that's 1970s team. Is that where the ball was pushed to the corner of the 18-yard box and Carlos Alberto just absolutely...
That was in the final, the fourth goal, I think, in the final. It's one of the best goals ever. It starts from the midfield. Clodoaldo, the midfielder, he slaloms through about four of the Italian lads, plays it off, I think, it could be Gerson, plays it up to Jarzinho, goes up the wing, plays it into Pele. Pele touches it off to the edge of the box, and Alberto's storming in and just smacks it, and it's going, and it's a brilliant goal. And you'll see better strikes of the ball, but it was a clean hit, and it was just the fact it's a team goal. It was absolutely brilliant. It was just something about the Brazil team from 1970 that everything was just, it's the epitome of samba football, isn't it? You know, without all the nonsense of, you know, not Ronaldinho and all, and Neymar are great players, but you know, when some people are doing tricks for tricks' sakes, this was just fast football, and it was just amazing. Do you know what I mean?
But it was fast, but then they'd slow it down to walking pace and just flick the ball around. But they'd move up the pitch doing it. It wasn't like they were doing it in their own half and just going, we just, you know, playing out for time and stuff like that. Because famously, in 1990, Ireland and Holland with a draw, both know they're going through out of the group, and the last 15 minutes of that game is literally nobody tackling. It was literally just pass it around.
They were only short of passing it to each other.
Yeah, but Brazil in 1970, when you watch the footage of it, they're moving at a snail's pace, but they're just committing so many fellas, just bang, bang, bang. It's like they're playing mini five-a-sides around the pitch. It was mental. And
you have to remember as well, the final, and that's against Italy, and Italy are the biggest defensive team. You know, Catenaccio was the defensive style that was brought in by Helenio Herrera at Inter Milan, I think, and the Italians really built that defensive system that was hard. You know, Giacinto Ficchetti and all playing in the defence for Italy. He was one of the best players ever, one of the best defenders of all time. And he just couldn't touch these lads. And Jarzinho scores in that point. Jarzinho scores in every game. It's the only player that ever scored in every game in the World Cup. It was mad. What a World Cup.
74, you have Holland.
Yeah.
They're beaten by West Germany in the final, but that Dutch team was fucking exceptional as well. Like, as much as you go back and watch the 70s Brazil team, 1970 Brazil team, Holland, I know Germany win it, but the football Holland play, Keith, was just...
It was total football,
yeah,
you know.
It was brilliant.
It was, again, it's innovation. It's football that you don't see. And I was looking at a clip there the other day, and it was how they charge down. Did you see it? Like, they just 4 or 5 of them just charging after the hunting in packs, and it's like, even now you're looking at it and you're like, holy Jesus. But I'd say when you're on the ball there and you're not used to seeing this, and you see these fuckers all swarming at you, what do? You just get rid of it. But that was Cruyff's only World Cup, wasn't it? So he doesn't go to 78. So that was his.
Yeah, that was
his
yeah.
nadir.
And Emmet, like when you talk about Holland and you talk about '74, you have to talk about Cruyff, because he was another fucking brilliant footballer.
Yeah, and much the same as what Keith says in terms of Pele. Like he doesn't really get, like, he gets mentioned as being a great, but he doesn't kind of probably get the flowers that he deserves. Like,
Yeah,
he has a torn and everything named after him.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah. No, a special player, but like, even not even as a player, but then when he went down to be a coach, like, it's just his kind of his outlook on football, and he's just a complete football person,
yeah.
from player to coach.
It's so far again. It's innovation so far ahead of its
Yeah,
time. Like, and Rinus Michels was the coach. I think he was at Ajax as well, and he win 3 European Cups, and then Holland go there, and Cruyff is learning from that. And it's football. You can play football. Everyone can play football, but he was 2 steps ahead. He was a visionary. He was one of the biggest visionaries, Johan Cruyff, and he is like another one that's forgotten about by time. And again, the winning captain that year is Franz Beckenbauer, isn't
yeah,
it? He lifts the World Cup for Germany. People don't know how good Franz Beckenbauer was. Franz Beckenbauer was an outrageous player, fucking centre back that used to run the pitch and score goals at will.
yeah. 78.
Loved it.
78 is where the madness comes in. I think for me,
I
like,
need to go back and watch all of these.
no, but the thing about it is, like, I'm gonna be honest, right? 78. I have an official video of 82 upstairs at VHS, right?
Yeah.
And I think of one of 86, and I definitely have the Ireland version of 1990. But 78 is where, for me, even watching back at them, is where colour just explodes on your screen. And 78 is all about the ticker tape Argentina.
Yeah.
It's I think it's a fascist regime they're under.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a junta, the military
yeah,
junta type.
and it's like mental. I was watching that FIFA documentary the other day about it, and they're talking about Joe Haviland and all this. And Joe Haviland, as much as you go on about Sepp Blatter, who took this on and kind of took Joe Haviland out in the end, but Joe Haviland was just the man that turned FIFA from, uh, you know, an organisation into the corrupt thing you see today.
Yeah.
There's a brilliant book out there called How They Stole the Game.
Yeah. Two
which is
cheeks of the same arse, certainly.
Yeah, which is well, How They Stole the Game. The book is brilliant if you want to read up on FIFA in a big way. But 78, Mario Kempes,
Yeah.
and not even brilliant moments in it. It was just where colour exploded. You see these stadiums just wall to wall ticker tape, and all the pitches covered in Adidas. I think was running around with the number 1 on his back.
Yeah.
It's all a bit mad, Keith, and that's where it really explodes for me.
Yeah, you've got 78 as a Mad World Cup. And Darren Dunbar says wasn't 78 corrupt. 78 was corrupt as fuck. 78 was a ridiculous World Cup. Didn't Argentina have to be was it Peru? They had to beat them by 5 goals or something like that, and they slaughtered them. And it turned out the keeper was born in Argentina or something like that, and
Yeah.
was at a few dubious ones that went in. But it was one of them that the political situation in Argentina was volatile. People were just, anyone that protested against the regime were getting disappeared. You know what I mean? They were the missing. They were called, and there was mothers protesting against outside the government buildings and all that. And this World Cup, it was such a big thing for the regime that now we have to be seeing a positive light. And it was just riddled with corruption. But when you look back at some of the stuff in 78, Mario Kempes, unbelievable in that, comes out, scores a lot of goals, gets a couple in the final. But again, as I say, they're playing Holland in the final, and people always assume that it was Johan Cruyff's Holland, but Cruyff doesn't go to that World Cup because he sees himself as a pacifist, and he's not going to this because of the corruption in it. And it's just it's a mad World Cup. But it is, again, it's one, you're right when you say about the explosion of colour and all that. Like 74 is a colour World Cup, but something about this, and it's the stadiums, the Monumental and the ticker tape all getting thrown down. It's just visual. It's a brilliant World Cup. Yeah, and the kits again, Argentina in that blue and white famous kit. It's starting to be the dawning of Argentinian football on the world stage. They've been close before, but they always flattered to deceive at World Cups, and this was the one where they got over the line.
Yeah. 82, is Spain, sunny Spain, and again, watching back the video. I think it was just called Goal, Gol, I think was the name of the video, and I have it upstairs. I know I do. I actually know exactly where it is, but again, loads of colour, and it's, I suppose, the big moments to come out of that. The biggest moment is probably the final. Yeah, Italy 3, Germany 1. I think this is where Rossi scores, Tardelli scores, and that famous celebration, where he's running around, fist pumps, as he runs away, and that's still to this day, Emma. It grabs your attention, doesn't it? It grabs your imagination when you see that, when he takes on that left foot and buries it and runs off like that.
It's probably the kind of the furthest back I've gone in terms of watching back over World Cups, and it was kind of nearly the Paolo Rossi show, wasn't it, for the '82 World Cup? And he was nearly like the Scalacci of
very similar stories. Yeah, very similar stories.
But yeah, Tardelli, like that's like, I remember, like, maybe in the lead up to the likes of 1990 or 1994, like they would be shown clips of previous things, and that image of him running away and shaking his head, like the passion, is just probably one of the more iconic moments of World Cup, or do you know what I mean, or celebrations at a World Cup. And then he rocks up, whatever, 20, 30 years later, and he's the assistant manager of Ireland.
Yeah.
Veranda Chase's match fixing corruption is involved in every World Cup. 82, Rossi's return from being suspended for match fixing. So there you go.
Yeah.
But that I remember in that World Cup, I'm looking back on it, Brazil. That's when Zico's knocking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And,
they were unbelievable.
They were unbelievable,
team,
yeah.
But Brazil 82, like the best team not to win it.
Yeah.
They were a scandalous team. Absolutely outrageous. But they get done by Paolo Rossi. Paolo Rossi gets a hat-trick and they're gone. But that Brazil team, like, you had Socrates and Zico and all these lads, but didn't they have...
Did they hammer Scotland?
Yeah, they're sauntering through, but they get undone. But they had a centre-forward called Serginho playing for them, and Serginho was a good, prolific striker in Brazil, but he went in there and he was a bit of a gangly number 9, like a rangy fucker, and he just started off poor, and the press got on him, and the poor fucker just was, they blamed him on it because...
It's a bit like your man that played up front for Brazil in 2014, remember?
Who was that? Which one?
Oh, yeah, man. Was his name Fred?
Fred. Yeah, could be. Yeah, one of them. But Brazil were brilliant. Falcao, they had Cerezo Jr., like, they were just these players that were the best in Europe at the time, like Falcao at Roma and all, and they were just absolutely an outrageous team, and they didn't get over the line. But 82 also has the fucking Tony Schumacher absolutely upending Patrick Battiston. We're running out and just nail him in the face.
That's fucking GBH. Like.
Didn't even get a foul. Wasn't even a foul.
Yeah.
Wasn't even a free kick. Your man's bleeding face is ruptured on the ground.
Yeah, and some of the angles, like, you see it like at ground level, looking at it in from the side, and it's just like you don't even see this fucker coming into the picture. It's just bang, your man is absolutely flattened. And like you said, like, you get a 10-game ban for that nowadays.
Yeah.
And this fella's just getting up going, I wasn't me.
Yeah.
And
we move on.
My memory of that is we used to actually play a game when we were younger. Like, if there was only 2 or 3 playing football, and we used to call it Schumacher. And the idea was you go 1-on-1 with the keeper, and he had to try and foul you before you scored.
Owen Borg says, my kid's tennis coach over in Florida is Brazilian, and he tells my young lad that Messi or Ronaldo wouldn't have got into that 82 Brazil team.
Yeah. Okay. We'll agree to disagree. Yeah, we'll agree to disagree.
R9's getting into that 82 Brazil team.
Messi's getting into every fucking team ever. But they were a great team. They were a special team. And I suppose when you watch them, and this is a thing, we're basing this on memories.
Red Steve says, Owen, your man's spot on because neither of them are Brazilian. Oh, stop.
Did one of them wear a headband?
Socrates wore a headband. Yeah, Socrates.
Chris Brack says Schumacher breaks fella's teeth, jaw and ribs, no foul given, saves the pen in the penalty shootout. Absolutely magnificent stuff.
Well, Northern Ireland were spicy in that 82
Yeah,
World Cup,
they beat Spain.
Jerry Armstrong scores against Spain, yeah.
We were only saying that he ends up getting a job in Sky for about fucking 30 years after. And he's, for me, he's the birth of, I said it the other night, he's the birth of people from, the UK or Ireland, pretending like they can talk like the locals, like McLaren tried to sound Dutch and Barton tried to sound French, and even now you see these people, like even when Hunter does it, And he starts
Yeah, he
naming it
slips in
in
there.
this mad accent. Like, you're like, what are you doing? Like, but no, Jerry Armstrong is definitely he's definitely the bear to that. But look, 86, right? Pick your moments, but it's Maradona.
Oh,
It's just Maradona, because like we were talking the other night about sticker books,
yeah.
right? Sticker books, and the World Cup Italia '90 sticker book will never be rivaled, and I mean never. Right now, I don't know whether it was just done for the Irish market. I highly doubt it. But the sticker book was a binder, right?
In what? 86?
No, in 90.
90? Yeah,
In
yeah,
90,
90,
but
yeah.
I'm leading you into 86 here, right? The sticker book was amazing, but it used to give you all the different players and form. It
Yeah.
used to go through every form of World Cup, and the
Great
big thing,
matches and great players
yeah,
and
and
all
but the
there.
big thing was the picture of Maradona, where all I think was a lot of Belgian players standing around him, and then they actually show they actually do like a what would you say, like a description of Maradona's goal against Denmark, I think it is. You know, where he takes it here, passes it off, goes by this, puts it in the
Belgium,
far
is it?
corner. Yeah, Belgium or Denmark, one of them. But you see all these, but 86, the hand of God. Then he follows the hand of God up, where people go and fucking rasher at him. The people just rejoicing at him because he just runs the length of the pitch against England and scores, and they win it. You know, they win the final against Germany, isn't it? They win the final against.
They win yeah, they beat Germany in the final, but like you've got the Falklands War has happened in 82, I think that was it 82 the Falklands
Around
happened.
80s, yeah. Early
Someone
80s,
will
yeah.
correct us in that in any way, but the Falklands happens and there's tension obviously between England and Argentina, and the Argentinians aren't afraid to bleed and stoke that one, you know what I mean? Like they're not a bother on them, and going into it there was a bit of tension there, and Maradona's like a man possessed, and coming up to that game, you know, he gets the. It annoys me when every few years Peter Shilton gets wheeled out and talks about him not having the decency to apologise and all this. Peter Shilton should have had the decency to be able to outjump a fella who's about 5'6"
Yeah,
and who's able to use his arms and still get beaten to the ball. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I don't listen to that show. Peter Shilton's a muppet, and anyway, if he's listening, I don't care.
I don't think he is.
I don't think he's a subscriber, and
No,
anyway,
me
so
neither.
he's not valued. But to follow it up then with the goal that he gets is just, you know, it's
That has to be the best World Cup goal ever.
yeah.
Well, we got
Has
on to
to be.
goals later, but Emma, you know, you were saying there you vaguely remember 86, and is it the Azteca Stadium where you can see that kind of thing above it?
Yeah, I just never forget that. Yeah, and
Yeah,
obviously the commentary
and
sounds
even
like they're
computer games for years after used to have
had
something like that
that.
on them. You remember? But like my dad was a huge Man United fan, and his favorite ever player was George Best, right? But he fucking adored Maradona. He adored him, and that's how I remember 86, because when he scores that goal, I always remember me dad going, "I fucking told you, I told you." Look, you know, now Maradona's knocking around since probably 78, 79 or whatever, but he just, I always remember my dad saying to me about Maradona, he said he's the best player I've ever seen. Now, he loved George Best. He was his favourite ever player. But he said, this fella is just ridiculous. You know, absolutely ridiculous. And look, he loved the go away, ran the pitch, but he enjoyed the hand of God more.
Yeah.
Right? Because my dad had this thing. Like, my dad had this thing where, like, oh yeah, just beat them. Like, he had this massive thing against Brits, right? But not only that, like, and it went as far as when we won the Eurovision. He'd want the BBC turned on so we could hear what Terry Wogan was saying, you know, the sort of way. Just what's the English reaction to Ireland winning the Eurovision? Ridiculous. But it was, even when you watch it back now in that grainy-ish footage, it's
Yeah.
just, it's poetry emotion, and it just is. The balance,
Yeah.
the power, the speed, everything about it is just phenomenal.
What you also have to throw in there as well is, and I know there's it comes up every so often in a WhatsApp group I'm in about Messi, and I would still I'd be on your dad's side there. I think Maradona is probably the greatest player ever to do it,
He doesn't
because
agree.
oh no, that's fine.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion,
I just
even the
think
wrong ones.
he did what he did on Cabbage Patches, and he did it with lads literally trying to assault him with
Yeah.
knee-high challenges. And could he do it nowadays? Absolutely. On the carpets that they play on and how protected he would be. Could Ronaldo or Messi do it back in that era?
I think they could.
I'm not
Because
sure.
that'd be the day, you know what I mean? So you'd be trained to play like
Yeah.
that. And that's the argument that I would always give with that. I agree with you. Like, I think Maradona, Pele, and Messi are the three greatest players to ever do. But I have Messi ahead of them all. I just think is everything about him. He can't be beaten. Do you know what I mean? Like, Maradona was brilliant. And the thing about Maradona's a rogue. And I think that's, for me, I love a rogue. You know what I mean? I'm always drawn to to a rogue. And Maradona was the ultimate. But, you know, people can beat him with the stick that, you know, he didn't, you know, he won the World Cup in 86. He won Napoli a title, but he only played about 6 games in the European Cup. But the times were different back then. Do you know what I mean? And he fails at Barcelona. Emmet touched on it there. They were bleeding, kicking him on the knee, diving him 2 footers on his knee.
But
A
even that
different time.
goal against England, there's
Yeah.
like literally a couple of charge sheets in there on the way into the 18-yard box. I think the whole Messi's goals and Messi's assists and all this kind of stuff gets thrown in as well. But like when I look at it and I kind of put it down to sheer football and ability, regardless of what he's won or how many games he's played or how many goals he's scored, I've never seen somebody able to, like, the relationship he has with the ball. That's the only thing that you can call it, is unbelievable. Like, he can make a ball do crazy fucking things.
The video comes up with the, you know, life is life, and he's doing the juggling, and it's just juggling, it's ball juggling. Do you know what I mean? We can all juggle a football, but you're looking at him doing it, and his laces are open, and his fucking has some lace wrapped around his jacket, and he's just buzzing around. He was an artist, you know what I mean? And what Maradona had, the gift of Maradona had, and he didn't, you know, his life was fucking hectic, you know what I mean? Like, his life was chaotic, but, you know, if you could have seen him playing 20, 30 years later, yeah, you're looking at a player that's, you know, up there. But I always hark back to the lads nowadays could have done it back then, because not if you dropped them. If they do a Marty McFly Back to the Future job,
Marty McFly them back, they're not doing it.
They're not doing it if they're Marty McFly back at all, because they're like, bollocks, what's going on here? But if you grow up in that, you'll adapt to the way that the game is played. But no arguments. If Maradona, you know, he's a great player.
But 86 is, and people won't like this, 86 was kind of like, Gary Lineker was one of my idols back from that 86 World. I even went out and bought Quasar boots because of Gary Lineker.
Everton's Gary Lineker, was he at that stage?
No, I don't think so. I think he was in Barcelona. Yeah, he's Barcelona. That kind of just made me look. I'd watched the FA Cup final, then obviously Maradona, and then you have this.
He must have just left Everton.
He wasn't.
Yeah, I think he just left.
Please don't look that up and say that he was at Everton.
He scores in the 86 Cup final.
Oh, does he?
Nearly sure he scores in the 86 Cup final.
Yeah, but I was only 7 or 8 at the time. I didn't know the difference. But I just thought that was it just kind of made you like fall in love with football, just to see, because he wasn't that old at that stage either, like, and with his cast on his arm, it was just kind of like, look at this lad playing with a broken arm and scoring a hat trick. I think it was against Poland, wasn't it? And that was it. That was the bitten by the bug of football. So
yeah, he went to Barcelona the summer of '86. So he's
so we're all right.
He had signed the contract and all.
I don't know if the transfer has gone through, but you might be all right. But when you talk about Messi and you talk about Ronaldo, I think or Messi and Maradona, I think they're so similar.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, do you ever see in films where you see, you know, it's a life story or something, you go, oh, there's Keith now, and when it comes up on the titles, it says young Keith and adult Keith, you know, and who's playing them. You could literally say, it's like watching nearly the same player, just 30 years apart. You know, predominantly left-footed, slaloming by people, brilliant vision, goals, everything about them. They're just, like, they come out of the same country. You know, Maradona probably finished early 90s. He turns up 15 years later in 2005-ish, doesn't he? About 2005 when he rocks up our Barca, or we start to notice him anyway. 2006 maybe. And it's just like, here's another one. Fuck maybe. And listen, I'm not really in the game of fucking saying who's the best and who's that. I just think for the years they're both magnificent. But Maradona was just like, when you see the footage of him getting absolutely, like, trying to absolutely hurt this fella, like that, there was no interest in football. This was trying to hurt a guy, and it was allowed, which was the fucking maddest thing of it all. But 86, they win it, and I want to go through great goals later on as well. But let's get into 1990 because it's the best World Cup of all time, right?
It's the worst football World Cup of all time.
It's
Just to be
shy
clear on that, it's
football-wise.
atrocious.
It's crap
But
because
it's the
3 of them are
best
getting
World
out of the
Cup ever.
group and everyone's just fucking not bothering their arse. But there's so much going on. Like Ireland qualify. You have Cameroon who are a bit mad.
Put your hands in the air if you love Cameroon. Do you remember that song? That was a little ditty they had. Put your hands in the air if you love the Cameroon.
But like Ireland go there and they nearly score identical goals against England and thing, long punts, they win the ball, they score. But the 1990 World Cup I just thought was brilliant. Like Tunisia getting the winner against Brazil. Scalacci turns up out of nowhere, starts scoring goals all over the place. Keith, I just thought it was a brilliant World Cup.
Yeah, 1990. It was the last World Cup really before commercialization or
massive
globalization. You know
commercialization.
what I mean? So obviously,
Well, it ends
goes
up
to
in
the
America
USA,
4 years later.
goes
So
to
that
America
explains it.
4 years later, and it's it's all sponsorships and it's this and it's that, and this is still back pass is allowed, isn't it? The back pass rule is still there. It's still got the dirt about it that others afterwards didn't have. Some of the tackling in it. We touched on Cameroon, Argentina earlier. It's a great. Yeah, like
following Rijkaard spitting in each other.
Spitting in each other. Yeah. Like it's a fucking crazy World Cup. But it's also an era when, football hooliganism, there's the programs have been on. I didn't watch them now, but I've seen them advertise the hooliganism at Italia 90 and all that sort of thing. But you have got that sort of terrace culture and all is there. The England are there, Ireland. Phil has spoke about on shows before. He was at the World Cup in 1990, wasn't he, in Sardinia? And it was just a great World Cup, but it was one when the cops were really clamping down, weren't they, on the hooliganism?
But the story Phil tells is that Ireland and England are playing in the opening game of the group in, is it Cagliari or Palermo? One of the right, Cagliari it might be. But Phil tells the story that the English were kind of kept away, whereas the Irish were just allowed to do what they wanted, had a fucking great time, and the English after were all shepherded out and brought whatever. And he said, by the end of the night, all the Irish were fucking dressed in the Italian bleeding police gear, and there's fucking sirens going on in the cars, and they're all drinking and betting with each other. And fucking Phil says it's one of the best nights of his life. Like, you know what I mean? But I just couldn't get over Scalacci in this tournament because this fella literally shows up and they're like, who's this fella? And he just starts scoring goals and just doesn't stop.
Yeah, and it was look, when we landed them, it was bound to be him, wasn't it? I can't remember any of his goals like vividly, but I can remember him. Like it's the typical like you when you're out on the road playing, everybody wanted to be Scalacci all of a sudden, because of the World Cup. It's like every year when Wimbledon was on, everybody wanted to go out and play tennis. Everybody wanted to be Scalacci now with the World Cup being on. But I mean, it was like he rocks up. I don't know how many. I'm imagining he probably got 6 goals. Did he? That's the magic number.
Probably.
And then kind of he has a few moves and that, but then kind of fades out again. So Scalacci was the start of the show in 1990. For me and probably for all lads our age.
Someone else said there as well, Keith, the emergence of Roberto Baggio. Who,
young Baggio playing scores against Czechoslovakia. Yeah, scores against Czechoslovakia. Yeah.
Was it the Czechs or was it Yugoslavia?
No, I think it was Czechoslovakia. Lothar Matthäus scores a cracker against Yugoslavia, doesn't he? Where he runs past a couple and drills one in.
Yeah, and Baggio's coming in off the left hand side.
Yeah, someone will put in the chat there, but I'm nearly sure it was Baggio against Czechoslovakia.
It's Baggio where he gets on the left hand side and he kind of comes inside, slaloms by a fella and bends it. But then you have like, from an Irish point of view, they get through and then they play Romania and Hagi. And Hagi is a fucking unreal footballer. And Ireland managed to get out in 0-0 and they get the pens. And O'Sheen says there, O'Leary scoring the winning penalty in 1990, the pinnacle of Irish football. And like, I keep harping on about it, but genuinely this country shut down. Like, and I'm 8 years of age at the time, and like honestly, like nothing else was happening in the world. Like genuinely, anything could have been going on and no one's paying any attention to it because the world stopped. Right? Anytime Ireland playing, I didn't see my parents. They were off the fucking pub. We were left with
street
somebody,
parties.
Yeah, there was street parties. Everyone had those buntings out, hanging out at gaff, and people were painting their houses, and it was just so fucking good for whatever many amount of weeks it was, and you know, and Ireland weren't the best team to watch, but they were a fucking good team. And when we get through against Romania, you get Italy, and alright, Italy win at 1-0, but Ireland had their chances. But it was just, I just still think to this day, like it's over 30 years ago now, it was just, I think it was the best 4 weeks in Irish history. Keith, am I wrong?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% because there was a sense of we love an underdog, and I think it's certainly in Ireland you love to be the underdog. And that World Cup, Ireland were atrocious. They were fucking muck, and they had a great team. You know what I mean? They had a great team, and the football was just Jesus. Now, what not just from Ireland, in fairness, I don't want to dig them out too much. There was, but Liam Brady doesn't get brought, doesn't he? He gets dropped before the World Cup, is it?
Yeah, I don't think Brady goes.
Ronnie Whelan's giving out fuck as well, that, every time Packy Bonner gets the ball, the midfielders are just looking at it going, bleeding,
yeah,
zipping over their heads, because that was the tactic that Jack Charlton used, but it was so effective. It was the country, we just remember, you touched on it there, like you're in the pubs in the day, the pubs are like the bleeding, the last days of Rome, everyone's falling around the bleeding place, everything's painted green, white and orange. I lived in flats, and all the little ledges that you'd see on my green, white and orange, the balconies were all green, white and orange. It was fucking madness. Country ran, Shawnee put a tweet up the other day about, would your radio team win this or the country win the World Cup, and he's like, this country would shut down if we won the World Cup. And that was the nearest we got to it. The sense of, you get to the quarter final, you're against Italy. And the thing about Italy, Scalacci only makes his debut for Italy, I think, that year. I don't know if he makes his debut at the World Cup or if he maybe has one cap or something.
There's a weird story about it.
And he only played about 10 games for Italy.
There's a weird conspiracy theory about the mafia insisting that he plays and all. There's all sorts of stuff around Scalacci.
Yeah.
And like if you watch back the game, like Ireland have a couple of good chances. What's his face is in goal for them.
What's his name?
Who was in goal for Italy?
Zenga.
Zenga was in goal. He makes a good save from a McGrath header and stuff like that. But it was just.
But even Scalacci's goal, like Bonner makes a save, doesn't he, from Donadoni? I think Donadoni shoots and he parries it down.
Well, he parries it down, but I don't think the fact that where he parries it is not great, but not too bad. But it's the fact that he fucking runs off the pitch after it hits him, you know what I mean? Instead of getting back in his goal.
And it lands at that jammy little fucker as well, Scalacci.
Yeah, he
was
just having the corner.
Someone said into wine that fella's having.
Someone said there earlier, David Platt's goal. David Platt gets that.
David Platt was brilliant in that
Belgium.
Was it
Belgium?
Belgium. Hooks the volley over his shoulder. Platt was brilliant. Platt emerges for England in that, but Gaza in 1990 is just
brilliant.
He's outrageous. Yeah. He is outrageous, and it's a pity he was such a bleeding idiot, because that's a talent, you know what I mean, and he just never took his game seriously. And it's such a shame. He was absolutely amazing. And kids don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, you tell people about great footballers, and like my son he's 8, and I was telling he plays FIFA and he plays the Legends team, so he's asking me all the time, Lothar Matthäus, tell me about Lothar Matthäus, and I'll tell him. And I'm like, oh, son, Paul Gascoigne. He's like, no. He's not in the Legends. I don't know him. I don't want to know him. He doesn't have an interest. And he'll show videos. He was outrageous. He was a brilliant player. And, that England team was built around him. Do you know what I mean? A team of seasoned professionals, a team of league winning players. And it was built around this young fella, and he was fucking deadly. And
once he got, never really the thing about Gascoigne was, once he got up ahead of steam at the ball or his feet, you weren't stopping him. Because he had that burst in him to go by you, but he was so physical while he ran with the ball that if you went to go near him, he just fucking elbow you straight in the face, put his arm across you, but at the same time keeping brilliant control of the ball and having the peripheral vision to know I can slip someone in or I can go by someone. He'd literally be bursting by someone while putting his arm across their face and beating the next fella at the same time, and you just couldn't touch him because he was so strong and he was so intimidating running with the ball. The defenders were like, I'm just going to bounce off him. He was absolutely brilliant, and he gets booked, doesn't he, in the semi-final, and it would have meant he missed the final.
Balls his lamps out.
Yeah,
but that's a mentality thing with Gazzy, you know what I mean? And I know it's easy to say hindsight's a wonderful thing, but it's a huge red flag. I don't give a bollocks if you put your all into it. If you get booked, like Roy Keane's the opposite end of the spectrum with United when he gets booked and just picks them up and goes. But Gaza was so fragile that the worst thing he ever done was
There
go
was
to
an
Italy.
immaturity about him as well,
Yeah.
even as he got older. And I don't mean because he was crying, because that's not immature.
No, you're right.
Anybody would cry, but it was just more of a temperament kind of it was more kind of petulant than anything really. Yeah, he never really kind of grew up.
We go to 94 then, right? And we're only skipping over this, but I have a couple of that were through in early and I kept them, right? So the first one, O'Shea McGlinchey, right, says Maradona celebrating with the max eyes out at USA 94, then being positive for illegal drug efforgery and Emmet.
Yeah.
Like, he scores a fucking brilliant goal. Remember the dark blue and black thing? And you're going to go, yeah, and he runs to the camera and his eyes are hanging out of his head, and and you're like, there's something wrong on here. but it was just 94 was like the perfect storm of all sorts of shit happening. Like Anto Kyo says Diana Ross not able to score into an empty net to open up the 94 World Cup as comedy gold. And Aldridge Chris Braxton's Aldridge in USA 94 telling the officials to fuck off for the lane and being subbed on. Aldridge comes on there and the goal he gets actually gets Ireland into the next round. But
your man was like an extra of Seinfeld or something with his blue blazer and an luminous yellow cap on him, wasn't it? Or something like that.
Yeah. And Jack Charlton's losing the plot. Jack Charlton ends up getting a touchline ban for the next game, I think, against Norway.
But you could hear what Aldo was saying as well on the telly. Like,
yeah.
Apologising on the telly. Sorry if you heard any language there.
But 94, like, America are hosting it. The first game is against Switzerland. It's in that David told me the name of it the other day. It was one of those domes. It was indoor. And like, wasn't that the one where the guy from Saudi Arabia scores an outrageous goal against Belgium?
He runs the pitch. It's a scabby goal, really, when you look back at it.
It bounces off him once or twice, but he still finishes it.
Yeah, the ball is miles ahead of him on his dribble and all that. But then
you have Bulgaria with Lechkov.
Bulgaria were brilliant,
and they knock out Germany. You have Sweden.
And Lechkov's header in that. Doesn't Lechkov get a header in that game?
Was it the keeper that was wearing a wig?
Yeah.
In 1994. Apparently the keeper was wearing a wig.
But Lechkov gets, I think, a header in that game. It's a brilliant header.
It's a great header, yeah.
But then they knock them out. Then Emmet, you have Sweden, who end up being third. Bulgaria come fourth, but Sweden have Dahlen. Do they have Dahlen?
Yeah, they have Larson. They have Kenna Anderson and Thomas Brolin is there. Is he like they have a good team, Sweden? Thomas Ravelli, was it?
Ravelli, yes, Ravelli's in goal. And there was just so much going on in this World Cup. Like, Ireland beat Italy in the joint stadium. England don't make
Staunton wearing, in fact, they're 95.
Yeah, Steve Staunton's absolutely fucked. He can't warm up for the game in case he gets sunstroke. It was, I thought it was a mad World Cup, that as well.
Yeah, but look, you said about 78 where like colour exploded. Like, I think the World Cup kind of exploded onto the big commercial stage with the World Cup in 1994. Like the Americans trying to change rules. I said it there a second ago. They wanted the keepers to wear helmets and all this kind of stuff.
They did.
They did. I'll find an article. They did. They wanted the keepers to wear helmets. Now I don't know whether they meant helmets or whether a Czech kind of style helmet.
Right.
But that's what they wanted anyway. But I'll never forget now especially the Italy game, because I was over in Croke Park watching the Dublin match, and we walked all the way across to the RDS. And the way the RDS was set up was like a mini stadium, and then you had big screens with grass and everything, and seats either all around this big screen in the middle. And then when that goal goes in from Houghton, the place just absolutely erupts. Like, and again, it's not. I wouldn't say it wasn't as big as 1990 in terms in Ireland. It was like, because we had 1988, and then the expectation went into 1990, and like 1990, like you said, probably the best World Cup of my life, and hopefully they get there again. But 94, it kind of just keeps rolling on, like even some of the goals. Was it 94 that Hadji scores from out near the touchline?
Yeah, someone says it there actually. Somebody did say. Oh yeah,
I think
Babu a video. I hope I've said that right. Talking about the 94 World Cup, Hadji's goal against Colombia is still one of the best goals ever scored. He says.
But they all had
some of the
their hair
goals,
dyed
yeah.
blonde as well, didn't they? In
No, that was
'94, the
was
Romanians.
that Romania in '94? I think that
I
was
think they
Romania
did
in
it in,
'98.
or maybe it was '98. Yeah.
They done it, yeah. They done it, or 2000 Euro 2000 or something. So I don't know,
Yeah.
but they were mad for doing all that. But some of the goals and
Was
that
'94 was
Nigeria
Dan
burst onto
Petrescu
it as
and all,
well.
was it, or was that
Yeah,
later on?
that was later. Dan Petrescu could have been there. '94 was when
Radachoyu and all that, was it?
yeah, and Ili Dumitrescu and Gika Popescu both got moves to Spurs, didn't they, off the back of this? And you know, they were a good team, Romania.
Campos, the Campos kits of
Yeah,
'94, the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
quality. And you also had then the Colombian guy, Escobar.
Yeah.
Andres Escobar was
Andres
it? And
Escobar. Yeah.
you know the story. Everyone knows the story.
Yeah.
He scores an own goal against the USA. Colombia get knocked out after Pele gave them the blatant kiss of death and tipped them to win it, and gets killed. When he goes back to Colombia, a mad World Cup, I have to say. But some of the goals and
out
that,
for dinner with his mum or something. Wasn't it?
yeah,
Mum and his
yeah, that's
girlfriend or
right.
something.
Yeah, the fucking, but it
It's
was
mental.
like, and the Americans want to do everything bigger and better, and in fairness, it was a brilliant World Cup as to the crowds that were at it. There was some great games that, look, I just loved watching Bulgaria. I just thought this is
Boris
fucking great.
Mikhailov, I'm after checking. That was the keeper, Boris
Keeper,
Mikhailov.
I know.
All right, but like, just I loved watching Bulgaria. I actually remember
Stoichkov playing for them
because
then.
Stoichkov, yeah,
Stoichkov's there,
was
but I think they beat Germany. I think Klinsmann might put Germany 1-0 up in that game. Actually, I'm nearly sure Klinsmann scores. So sure someone will look it up.
Klinsmann scored a beaut in that World Cup, didn't he? Was it against who was it against? Was it against Korea or something? And he again, it's a hooked volley over the
flicked it
shoulder
up,
like a blatant cracker.
Yeah, and Baggio gets a few good ones in that as well, in that
Yeah.
World Cup.
Georgie one foot there as well. Nigeria and Amakachi. Nigeria were great in that World Cup as well. Daniel Amakachi, yeah, burst onto the scene, and his reward was a move to Everton, wasn't it? It seems a bit.
You use
It's a bit
reward
harsh.
very loosely there.
Yeah.
Didn't we sign Phil Babb after '94 World Cups as Fran Dowling? Yes. Phil Babb was at the back with Paul McGrath. Paul McGrath like had no knees left and still managed one of the best, and I mean this, one of the best centre half performances I've ever seen against Italy. Like, he was everywhere, and the fella could genuinely not walk. It was unreal, but it was a great World Cup. You go into '98, you know, and that's Zidane, and he wins the final. The big story, of course, is Ronaldo. You know,
Again, Brazil was so favoured for that, weren't they?
Yeah.
Because obviously we're all in our late teens at that stage, or you know, mid late teens, and you're looking at all the Nike adverts. Because as we say, the capitalism and the globalization and
it's in
commercialization
full
of
fucking
football is well in laden gear now. But you have all the Nike ads and all that, and it's so Brazil centric and Brazil focused, and it was just a matter of them showing up. You know, we've done shows about Ronaldo, and you know, this fella was.
and if you haven't seen Ronaldo documentaries that come out recently, go and watch it, because it'll blow your mind how good he was. Like, if you don't, like most people I think in this chat that watch our channel or listen to our podcast will be probably of an age where they know of Ronaldo, and know most things about him. But if you're younger and you're kind of going, yeah, I've heard he was great, go and watch the documentary. Genuinely, if he doesn't get the injuries he's got, we're talking about Maradona and Messi and stuff like that. You're talking about him because he was just an absolute monster of a footballer. Like, to be that quick, that strong, that physical, that skillful with your feet, it was ridiculous to watch.
I think it was one of his skills was his downfall. Did he not do his knee initially when he was trying to do one of his
step
famous
over our scissors?
body swerve, not where he pretends to go one way, and I think he actually crumbles on his knee, and I think that's what did him in then.
Mental.
98. Yeah, 2002, I suppose, was dominated with Ireland and Saipan and Roy Keane and the whole country again picking sides and stuff like that. And still to this day, you probably can't get the full story on that from 2002. Was it 2006 where Lampard hits the bar against Germany and it comes down? Or was it 2010?
I thought that was 2010.
Yeah,
Lampard hits the bar and it's about 2 foot behind the line.
10. Yeah, it was
down
10.
behind the line, and you're kind of going, how did he not give him that goal?
Yeah.
There was, and of course that's the first World Cup in Africa, in 2010, and then we go on 2014, 2018. I know we're cut for time, but if you're in the chat, I want to know your best World Cup goal and your funniest World Cup moments. So if you throw them in there, I'm going to get the lads throw me some goals now, and then we'll round off with a couple of good moments as well. Keith, goals. Come on, everyone loves them.
Great goals, yeah. Like if you want to go back in time, like we spoke about Brazil in the final, the Carlos Alberto one is one of the most iconic goals in World Cup, along with Maradona's individual one. This was the team version of that. But there's some great goals. I think Teofilo Cubillas could have been 78 or 82 for Peru scores a free kick against Scotland. If anyone hasn't seen it, and he bends it around the wall, but he uses the outside of his foot, and the way he runs, it's an outrageous goal because you just can't see it coming. Do you know what I mean? The way his run up is going, it's like, what's he doing here? And that was a great one. Anyone who hasn't seen it, look it up. Cubillas for Peru against, I think it was against Scotland. Yeah, it was against Scotland. It's a great goal. Josimar, we spoke about Northern Ireland in 82. They got to 86 as well. You know, really, really good period for Northern Ireland. Pat Jennings in goal. I'm nearly sure Pat Jennings would have been a goal in 86 as well. Josimar is a Brazilian, burst onto the scene in 82, I think. And in 86, he got a cracker against Northern Ireland. The ball played in and just mills it into the top corner over Jennings. Oisin McGlinchey there, Nalino versus Italy in 78, outside of the boot. Did anyone know that one? The banana kick. Gets the ball out on the right wing, touches it out and hits it, and it fucking bends ridiculous. Looks like it's going a mile out for a throw and bends in. Artie Han, own book, Artie Han with a free kick, 80 yards, a bit of an exaggeration, but close enough, and he fucking hammers it. He absolute thunder bastards the thing in. Great goal.
Mohammed says Van Bronckhorst in 2010 was in the stadium, never forget it. Some Dutch lass started hugging me. So for me, the best goal ever. Ronaldinho's free kick over Seaman. Josimar celebration was the best. Cambiasso best team goal, Argentina in 2006.
Great goal.
Van Persie's header.
Doesn't Maxi Rodriguez get a cracker in the World Cup?
Maxi gets a great one. Yeah, that's right. Against I
can't remember who it was against.
Or something. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that was a really good goal as well. Owen against Argentina. Bergkamp against Argentina in 98. Like in 98, Bergkamp does that to Argentina, and then Owen does that to them as well. Same competition. The Owen one, look, as a Liverpool fan, when Michael Owen turns up to the World Cup and takes the ball in the middle of the park and just starts fucking going by fellas. I mean, actually, look, he probably only beats about 3 fellas, but the fear in them. And then you see Scholes trying to fucking, the little rat, trying to get in and take the goal at the end, and Owen's like, fuck you, and smashing the top corner. You're like, what is fucking going on here? Because you were like, it kind of did leave you breathless. You were kind of going, look, I'm no England fan, but it was Michael Owen after a season at Liverpool going to a World Cup and then just turning up and going, I'll show you here, give us the ball. It was absolutely mad. Calvin Van Vuren says the Van Persie header in 2004. Yeah. Now, right, I'm going to say something controversial here. That's just a header.
It's not a header.
It's just, slow it down. It's a header, and he throws himself in the air after he heads it.
Yeah, but he loops it up. Like, he loops it over to CS, isn't it?
It's seriously, slow it down and watch it. It's a good goal. It's a great ball, but I still think there's way too much made of that. Maxi was against Mexico in 2006, says Chris Brack. Brazil's opener against France in the 86 quarter-final. Great team move, one touch passing and Correca, says Hannah Kingsbury. Do you remember it, Keith?
There you go. I thought it was Socrates, but yeah, it could be Correca, yeah. I thought it was Socrates. Yeah, but...
Roberto Ayala getting done for 2 of the all-time great World Cup goals, his own book. Again,
Roberto Ayala was my favourite defender in the 90s and the 90s. I loved him. He was only about 5'9".
Kevin Sullivan says it was an outrageous header from Van Persie. Just go back and watch it. Trust me, just go back and watch it. If you
it wasn't just a header. He loops it up, scoops it over him.
Fran Down says the funniest was Lampard's goal disallowed. Was that a World Cup? It was 2010.
Yeah, against Germany.
Some great goals. You know what, like, I really, and I'm sorry, but I really like the Canizio one against Brazil in 1990.
I was about to say that, yeah. It's a great goal.
I really
Maradona's brilliant in that.
Yeah.
The strength and then the ball in. But Canizio's finish is brilliant.
Yeah, I really like that. And then there's one Maradona scores in 86, and again, I'm going to say Belgium or Denmark. I think
Belgium. It's Belgium.
And the only reason I'm thinking
falling away when he shoots.
He's off balance.
In that binder is actually a really good goal from Laudrup in 86.
Yeah, that's
for Denmark.
Against Spain, I think, is it?
But that's why I'm mixing them up. But Maradona's one where he's kind of played in and then he's, like you say, off balance, puts it across keeper. Graham Poll showing 3 yellow cards to the same player.
yeah.
Croatia.
That was my
Was
one.
that 2006?
Sukic, wasn't it?
Yeah, was a Croatian.
I have a feeling. No,
Croatia, yeah.
I actually have a feeling it was a Croatian player, but I actually have a feeling that might have been in 2010. Keith's gone. Oh no, Keith's back.
No,
now.
I'm back. I looked. I had the.
I want to say Graham Paul gave that in 2010.
Could have been.
I have a feeling it was 2010 because.
No, 2006.
Was it?
2006.
Yeah.
Wow. 16 years ago. Jesus. I was going to say it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but obviously it is, and we're all getting old.
Simonic was the name of the player.
Simonic got 3 yellows. Was it 3 yellows he got?
Yeah.
How the fuck do you give the same player 3? I get giving the player 2 yellows and forgetting to send them off. But how the fuck do you give a player 3 yellows and not get them off the pitch?
Oh, we did. He sent them off on the third one.
He sent them off on the third one.
On the third one, yeah. But what I'm saying, how does he get to a fucking third one? O'Shea has it. Suarez handball on the line, denying Ghana a place in the semi-final and the first African team to make it, right? And
that's not even the best part of it. It's the celebrating in the tunnel.
Isn't he a man? Is he a man that went to Sunderland in the end?
Asamoah
Gyan,
yeah. Or maybe he was at Sunderland at the time. I'm not too sure. But yeah, he handles it. He gets sent off. He knows he's going to miss the semi-final anyway because he gets sent off. And then the penalty's missed. And like he does not give a fuck in front of the guy. Everybody, he's having a fucking great time. Mohammed
the whole of Africa was after him, weren't he?
Yeah.
Because obviously that's in South Africa as well.
Guyan's hit pen on the crossbar when Suarez handballs is bonkers.
Yeah.
Rivaldo's dramatics at the corner flag, that was embarrassing nonsense. That was 2000
It's Turkey in 2002.
Yeah, 2002, yeah. Isn't that where someone
Rivaldo
kicks the ball over
play.
to him when he's going to get a corner or something and he just
hits him on the toe?
He did kick it hard at him, but it didn't hit him in the face, but he went on the toe his face.
Zidane's headbutt in the final 2006, like what a way to fucking end your international career, like.
Yeah, I mean, we done a Zidane special. We've done loads of specials like this, but the Zidane in the 2006 World Cup.
Hold on, I have to ask this. Because Kuwait walking off after a goal, 82 against France.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Fill me in, what happened there?
I can't remember the exact reason. I think there was a goal given and they weren't happy about it. So the fellas in the sheiks or whatever in the stand were giving them the curly finger. Come on, get off. We're not having this. We didn't come all this way for this. Pull them out.
But
someone will correct me in that. Yeah, they walked off. Someone will correct me in that one.
Well, Zidane against Brazil.
Brilliant. One of the best individual performances you'll ever see.
That's 2006 as well, yeah. That was amazing. I always remember 98 and everyone was like, the new fella on the block is Danielson. Do you remember? Hadn't he only gone to Betis for a world record?
World record, yeah. And he loved doing loads of bleeding step overs and all, didn't he? He was all full coat and no knickers, that fella.
Yeah. There was so many, like I think in 2002 when Ireland against Spain, Ireland should have beat Spain that day.
Yeah.
And probably could have went all the way because was it South Korea they got
South Korea. Yeah, but South Korea, there was a fit going on there, wasn't there?
Yeah, but Ireland would have beat them. Let me see.
Derek T, what about Zaire kicking Brazil's free kick? Yeah, we've touched on that one earlier on. But
we have,
what a
and
moment
Veranda Cheese backs up his Kuwait stuff with the Kuwait team thought he heard a whistle and stood still while France ran on and scored. Yeah. Do you remember your man nearly took Xavi Alonso's head off, the Dutch fella?
De Jong,
Nigel.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. That was that other English fucker, the ref, on there. Howard Webb was the ref.
Was it Howard Webb? Yeah.
Howard Webb was the ref.
He only booked him, didn't he?
Yeah, or did he even book him?
I think he might have booked him.
I can't remember.
I think he might have booked him.
I watched that in the Aviva Stadium, believe it or not. They I think it only opened, did it open back up in 2009? And they advertised that they were going to show the World Cup final in the Aviva Stadium. So we all bought tickets thinking it's going to be one of these that has the big screens in the middle of the pitch and all. It's literally the screens that they have in the Aviva Stadium now. Right. And you couldn't hear that, and it was just
Jesus.
Most people walked out.
I'd have left.
O'Connell Street was great that night, I have to say. I walked down O'Connell Street that night, and it was like literally you were in the middle of Madrid or Barcelona. The amount of Spanish people around is unbelievable.
Let me see. Is there anything else? Bonker says Montari goal.
Oh yeah, Sully Montari, he got a beaut, didn't he? And speaking about Ghana, and Uruguay are in with Ghana this year, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
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 Be
Fran
interesting.
Dowling says Zidane, Cruyff turning a goal kick from Barthez. Can't remember when. That was 2006 against Brazil. He sends some Brazilian to the
Yeah,
shop.
that's right. And it's actually early in the game, is it? Is that what the one
Yeah,
at the
just it's
start?
clipped
or
out to him, and
something?
it looks like
Yeah.
he tap it off to the fullback and just Cruyff turns it on the well before it even hits the deck. It was ridiculous. Any more goals? Any more moments before we go?
There's played in loads. You just can't think of them. Like as you said, the '94 World Cup, Amakachi gets a view. Maradona's goal, Baggio,
Baggio
right?
missing his penalty.
Yeah, that was a bleeding killer, wasn't it? And then there was Brazil as well. Didn't Bebeto gets a goal and does the 3 men and a baby thing? I hate that fucking celebration now. But at the time, it was great. It was Thiago's our lad as well, wasn't it? It was it Romario, Bebeto, and Mazinho.
Yeah.
Well, look, there's been brilliant moments, brilliant goals, loads of talking points. If no matter what,
James Rodriguez, he got a bleeding thing, didn't he?
Yeah.
In 2010, was it?
Yeah, is that the one where he
2014.
takes on the chest and
14.
smashes it?
Yeah, swivels and just bleeding
I
pings
think it
on
won
him.
goal
Great
in the
goal.
tournament, did it not?
Yeah,
he
I'd
did.
have to. It was a beauty.
But Kel Sullivan says there, who's gonna? Who wonder who's gonna have those moments in this tournament? I don't know. I can't get myself up for this tournament at all.
No,
I
no.
just can't.
No.
I as I said, if it's there, I might watch it, but I wouldn't go out of my way. Leonardo giving Tab Ramos the biggest elbow of all time in '94.
Outrageous. Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He smashes him.
Yeah, I remember
Doesn't
that.
even hide it. Fucking
was
hell.
unbelievable.
Smashes your man's face open.
We said it earlier on as well. Vuller, I still go back to Vuller and Rijkaard spitting on each other in 1990. Just
big bleeding Gollier
Collier's
hanging
in the
out
back
with
of their
Voller's
hair,
hair and all. Yeah.
But it's just the reaction and the looking at each other like.
Yeah.
It's,
But again, that's a hatred thing, isn't it, with Holland and Germany at the time? Like going back to the war and all, and there was loads of bad blood and some two quality teams, but a shite game and a shite World Cup. That's actually the best World Cup of all time. And even the final, even in that, going back to 90 before we do finish up, Maradona, Argentina beat Italy in the semi-finals, don't they? And I think it's in Naples. The game is in Naples, and Maradona's urging all the Napoli fans says, these Italians, these fucking hate yous. They do nothing but abuse us. Yous get on and support us. He was rallying the Naples, the Neapolitans, or
and then he
whatever
goes
they
and
are.
beats them in Naples.
And then they played. The Italians turned on him, but didn't they? And he got fucking booed all the way in the final.
Ortega headbutting Van der Sar in 98. Van der Sar going down like a WWF wrestler.
Yeah.
Laszlo says the massive moth that landed on him was freaky. Now that rings a bell to me, but I just can't place it.
Who's the moth landing on?
I don't know. But
I do remember something about a moth. Yeah, that's right.
Rangers signing Oleg Selenko after 5 goals in one game. Yeah, I remember that. But loads of teams done that. Loads of teams signed players. Like Liverpool done it with El Hadj Diouf and Salif Diao after.
Well, we done that before. No, we had them before the World Cup.
Yeah, I know. But then when they come on and
they went in and you thought this is great. Yeah, because Salif Diao got a great goal in the World Cup.
James Rodriguez, the big moth landed on.
Oh yeah, James. Yeah, that's right.
So there you go. Well, look, I'm sure there's loads more moments, loads more goals. But we thought we'd come on and just chat about and go through the World Cups and try them out well.
Who doesn't like the old World Cups? This World Cup, not so much.
Like if you can get your hands on all the old VHS, if you have old VHS,
we used to watch them all the time.
Flash them on. Like,
they must be online or something.
I think you just, with a VHS now, you just fucking, I don't know, throw any power cable in the back of it and just wave it at the telly and it'll turn on.
VHS? I don't know. There's easier ways than that. Surely you can get them on YouTube.
Honestly, I have the official video from 82 on VHS. Right.
Yeah, but you have a VHS player?
Yeah, up in the attic, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure I do, yeah.
Will you bring it down or will you watch it up in the attic?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'd have to bring the telly up.
Clark Griswold and National
just taking the telly out of the sitting room and everyone going, what are you doing? I just go in the attic to watch a few videos.
If anyone's looking for me,
if anyone's
box of Pringles and a bag of cans.
You should be able to find, I'd say you'll find them somewhere on.
I'm sure you get them on YouTube now. They've been remastered onto YouTube.
Yeah.
But I definitely have one from 82. I definitely have one from 86. And I definitely have, I think it was called Jack's Heroes or something. It was called the 1990 video. And I always remember because that song No Regrets is sang by, I presume it's some Italian boy sings it. No, not
Edith Piaf.
Yeah, Edith
General
Piaf.
Regret.
Yeah, Edith Piaf.
We didn't talk about songs. World Cup songs.
Music.
Well, we're on Italia 90. That has two of the best. So we have Pavarotti's Nessun Dorma.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, that added fucking 100 million to that World Cup, but that's the backdrop of that. And also had World in Motion by New Order. Let's be honest, the best, it's not even really a football song, but the best football song of all time.
Yeah.
What else is there?
I know. But I'm actually gonna go. Do you know what? I'm gonna go up to the attic tomorrow because if I know where they're sitting, I have the videos there. I'm gonna take a picture of them and I'll put them on our social media or whatever. But look, with regards to shows moving forward, we're gonna try to do daily World Cup stuff. So we might do a watch along a day if people are available, and we're literally doing it on people's availability. We're not going to promise you anything. We'll decide on the day and we'll throw it out that we're going to do a watch along. Kevin, Luke done a great one today for the opening game. Wasn't the easiest game to start off with, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But there's better games coming. We're more than likely going to be doing the 4 or 7 p.m. depending on availability, right? We're going to try to do a show every night at 10 o'clock with what's going on in the World Cup on that day. We're going to throw some Liverpool stuff in as well as we go. And look, if you can like, subscribe, share and help us out during this month, because this is a hard month for anybody trying to make content. So if you can do that, let us know.
That Joe Wayman being a bit snarky.
Yeah, Joe Wayman says, big up lads, when do you lads play? Just look up the England fixtures, look at the team opposite the fucking England, and that's when we're playing, Joe. Go fuck yourself. So who are we playing? Iran
tomorrow,
Wales,
yeah,
and America.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, 3 of us. No, fair play. I'd say Joe has his tracksuit. Wow, fucking loves the tracksuit, does Joe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so listen, the appeal for Lydia is in the description. Go and check that out. If you can make a donation there, please do, or share it amongst your family, your friends, all that sort of stuff. It's going really well. I think they're fairly close, and she has a date for her operation, which is great. So they need to get that money in as quick.
Just short of 5 when I looked at it earlier.
Yeah, they're not too short on it. What else did I want to say? Oh, the beanies. We have got 10 beanies that we held back. We're going to give away for free. Now we're going to give some away on live shows. We're going to give a few away where you have to put something in the comments because people don't always watch live. We're going to give it away to people that just listen to the podcast. We're going to find a way of doing that as well. But we have 10 of them. We're going to give them away for free. And yeah, hopefully they're due in next week. So we'll start giving them away in the next week as well. But we'll bring out as many shows as we can throughout the World Cup. There'll be different hosts, there'll be different guests, there'll be different types of shows, there'll be quizzes still, there'll be drafts, there'll be Keith's draft was amazing the other night and everyone wants him to do another one, so we might do. I want to be involved in the next quiz because I just love being involved rather than hosting them, but we're going to bring it as much as we possibly can, plus some Liverpool stuff thrown in there as well. I think that's about it. We get out of everyone's hair. Keith, not your hair, Keith, but anything else before we go? Sorry, that was a low blow, Keith, and I apologize.
No,
that's
it's
Joe.
all right,
That's Joe's influence on me.
Yeah, that's how we're ending the show.
Yeah, fuck you, Joe.
Slugging the gut, rob me inhaler, and laugh at me when I'm on the ground. Nah, look, nothing else from me, Gav. Nothing else from me. I love talking about the old World Cups, as I said. Will we get into this one? Who knows? But you know, time will tell. If I
find this video and a VCR player, do you want to come out to me, Gaff, and we watch the video and we'll stream it, us watching it?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
I wouldn't say you get done for copyright showing that gear. That's years old.
Yeah. The copywriters are long dead on them, aren't they? Absolutely long dead.
Emma, anything else before we go?
No. All good.
All right. That has been the LFC Daytrippers. That's been the Fatback 4. As I said, stay tuned during the week. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Go and subscribe to Just Joe's football show as well because he's quality. That's it. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.